We are now looking at the theme of international organizations, treaties, not only international, even to an extent, even one or two Indian questions, Indian organizations or treaties that have come about, not treaties, conventions, etc. that have come about. Okay. So now without much delay, the first is a 2023 question. The question reads as, the invasive species specialist group that develops a global invasive species database belongs to which one of the following organizations? So as you can see, whenever it comes to any kind of species related data, one organization which is having a prime role out of all of these, there is IUCN, UNEP, UN, United Nations World Commission for Environment and Development, and there's a Worldwide Fund for Nature. Out of all of this, an organization that has focused its entire activities on species protection, invasive species, species regulation, etc. is your IUCN. So the answer to this question is A, IUCN. Okay. Next is a 2022 question. The question reads as, Climate Action Tracker, which monitors the emission reduction pledges of different countries. What are these pledges? In the previous question, I had mentioned that there is something called as INDCs. This is what it tracks. What is it? It's a database created by Coalition of Research Organization. It is a wing of IPCC. Next is, it's a committee under United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, that is UNFCCC. It is an agency promoted and financed by UNEP and World Bank. Okay. Now understand, see, if anyone wants to track the climate related activities, I'll just give you a brief about this. In your UNFCCC, what happens is, in the treaty created, which is your Paris Agreement, in that itself, they had mentioned that every 5 years, starting from 2023 onwards, the UNFCCC itself will have a meeting and it will have a check that says that, how well have you performed on your INDCs. So, do you think they will create one other committee for it? No need. So, because why? They have already mentioned that in the agreement, they have already created a mechanism for it. So, this is not that. IPCC over here is just a scientific organization that tries to combine all the data, but here Climate Action Tracker is not related to it. So, this is also wrong. UNEP and World Bank, it's very rarely that this kind of a combination does happen. World Bank is coming together whenever it has some monetary aspect to it. You're just to track INDCs, there is not much of monetary aspect to it. So, what happens is, this is also wrong. The answer to this question is A, it is a database created by Coalition of Research Organizations. Next is a 2022 question. The question reads as, the Climate Group is an international non-profit organization that drives climate action by building large networks and runs them. Second is, the International Energy Agency, in partnership with Climate Group, launched a global initiative which is called as EP100. EP100 brings together leading companies committed to driving innovation in energy efficiency and increasing competitiveness while delivering on emission reduction goals. Some Indian companies are members of EP100. The International Energy Agency is the secretariat to Under 2 coalition. Okay. 5 statements given over here, and you need to know some aspect of about it so that you can solve this question. See, when it comes to it, the Climate Group, that was the beginning question. The Climate Group is actually a non-profit organization. Okay, that statement is correct. The second statement though says, the Climate Group and International Energy Agency. I want you to understand, International Energy Agency is one very elite energy agency which is focused on only those energy producers of the world, primarily OECD members. It's very rarely that they combine for anything non-profit. So, International Energy Agency partnering with climate group to create something is a very non-probable thing, primarily because International Energy Agency is primarily focused on economic profits. So, here statement 2 is wrong. Statement 2 is wrong. You do get the answer, which is 1, 3 and 4. But again, look at it. You will see that EP100 was created. It was created just by climate group, not by IEA. Third statement is correct. Fourth statement is correct. The International Energy Agency is the secretariat of Under 2 coalition. That is also wrong. Under 2 coalition is basically trying to curb the temperature increase of the world under 2 degrees Celsius. International Energy Agency has no role in it. So, fifth is also wrong. The answer to your question is 1, 3 and 4 only. Okay. Next is a 2022 question which reads as, in the context of WHO air quality guidelines, consider the following statements. The 24-hour mean of PM 2.5 should not exceed 50 micrograms per meter cube. An annual mean of PM 2.5 should not exceed 5 microgram per meter cube. In a year, the highest level of ozone pollution occurs during the periods of inclement weather. Inclement means cold. PM10 can penetrate the lung barrier and enter the bloodstream. Excessive ozone in the air can trigger asthma. Okay, let's look at what statements we know before. Obviously, a lot of people who wrote it might not even be aware of that first statement. So, let's see if we can at least try to solve it without knowing the first statement. Now, coming to the last two statements, third and fourth, excessive ozone in the air can trigger asthma. Yes, that is quite possible. Okay, that can happen. So, why? Because a lot of times when there's tropospheric ozone, it can create irritation to people. That is possible. So, you need an answer which has 4 in it, which is all A, B and C. Now, coming to the third one. PM10 means particulate matter 10. That is in that much of size. You have two major particulate matters whenever we talk about pollution. There is PM 2.5 and there is PM 10. PM 2.5 is extremely small. Okay, PM 10 is bigger than that. PM 2.5 can easily pass through our nasal membranes, enter into the bloodstream, go into the lungs, pass through the alveoli, which is meant there for protection, and then enter into the bloodstream. But PM 10 on the other hand gets filtered out in that lung barrier itself. So, the statement which says PM 10 can penetrate the lung barrier and enter the bloodstream, that is wrong. So, your answer will not have 3 in it. Which means again, even without knowing anything more, you know the answer, which is 1 and 4. Why was statement 2 wrong? Whenever you have to have high levels or whenever you do have ozone pollution, that's primarily because of what? See, ozone is O3. In stratosphere, it's O3. In your troposphere also, it's O3. When you do have your free radicals here and there, they can form ozone only in the presence of high temperature and heat. If they have to form your tropospheric ozone. In your cold climate, you don't have high temperature and heat. That means what? Ozone doesn't get formed. So, in a year where the highest levels of ozone pollution occur, it occurs in your hot climate and not in your cold climate. That is why your second statement was wrong. Your first statement is correct, and that is the reason why it was asked is because in that particular year, in 2022, they had changed this. What is the daily 24-hour mean and what is the annual mean of each of this? It is mentioned in this picture. So, you can have a look at it. When it comes to your carbon monoxide, your 24-hour mean is 4 micrograms per cubic meter. For each of the others, for NO2, for O3, PM10, for PM 2.5, they have an annual mean and then they have a daily mean. But for sulfur dioxide and carbon monoxide, they just have given out a 24-hour mean. Okay. So, have a just to look at it so that you know what is the annual and the daily mean of each of it.